Evening, Rotarians. Oh, okay. Good evening, Rotarians, Rotaractors, Interactors, and guests. I'm Dan Giraldi, and I have the honor and privilege of being your district governor this year for District 5160. Thank you to everyone for being here. We know that several clubs are making this Zoom presentation, the presentation for their regular meeting. I also know that we have some visiting Rotarians from other districts, so we appreciate you joining us. So our keynote speaker today is no stranger to District 5160, having just come last Sunday night to our district to take part in the Rick King Memorial event that was held in Blackhawk. I had the opportunity to meet her then, and I've had the opportunity to meet her many times prior to that, as she and I often attended several of the same events while I was going on my journey to become a governor. And I have to say that my Rotary passion is always put in a high gear whenever I hear her speak. As you will experience tonight, she's engaging, experienced, and simply a fun Rotarian to be around. But despite the fact that I've met her a few times on my journey to becoming a governor, I don't think that I'm the best person to introduce her. Rather, I want the honor of introducing our distinguished guest speaker to go to someone who I believe is a bit more deserving. So I wanted to introduce everyone to a high school junior who attends Paradise High School. Paradise, as we all know, is part of our District 5160 family, and as many of you might recall, was a city that was devastated by and is still recovering from the wildfires back in 2018. So she is passionate about leadership and community service and school spirit. She serves as an ASB president and is an elected school board member, working to make positive impact in her school. Outside of school, she is actively involved in both Paradise's Legacy Interact Club and is a charter member of the Paradise newest Interact Club, known as the YRA Interact Club, where she serves as club secretary. She also is a student ambassador, and she helps build school spirit and plans events to celebrate school and town achievement, which is not always easy considering her town is still recovering from the fires. When not planning events or leading initiatives, you can find her on the basketball court or running track. So please join me in welcoming Interactor phenom, Maya Goodland, who will now introduce our keynote speaker. Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya. Rotarians, Rotaractors, Interactors, and guests, thank you so much for joining us for this very special presentation. This promises to be an incredible evening. Our keynote speaker tonight is someone who embodies the spirit of Rotary in every sense of the word. A member of the Rotary Club of McMurray, Pennsylvania, she currently serves Rotary International this year as president. Prior to ascending to the pinnacle of this august organization, she served as Rotary International Director and as Rotary Foundation Trustee. She has served Rotary International in numerous additional capacities, including as a training leader, a regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, and Rotary International's president's representative, as well as member at large to 3 sessions of the Council on Legislation. A Rotarian since 1991, she has participated in a variety of international service projects, including National Immunization Days in India and Nigeria. In Vietnam, she worked with clubs to build a primary school, and she traveled to the Dominican Republic to install water filters. Her professional background is in higher education, consulting, and in the entertainment industry. She received her doctorate degree in leadership studies from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and she has been recognized for her service by the Rotary Foundation and numerous other community and international organizations. Rotarians, Rotaractors, Interactors, and guests, please give a warm welcome to our Rotary International President, Stephanie Urchick.
Thank you, Maya. That was amazing. Thank you so much for your kind words. But first of all, thanks everybody for being part of this very, very special evening. You know, Governor Dan has invited me to share some thoughts with you today about things that are important to us in the Rotary world and what we're really suggesting and talking to the family of Rotary about during 24-25. So I will do that. And if we have any time left over, look at whether or not we can take some questions. So The thing that's on the radar screen for every Rotary Club I speak to, every Rotary district, every zone, is growing our membership. Now, some of you may say, wait a minute, we've heard that before. And the truth is we have. We have been talking about membership for the last 30 years. But that's the problem. We've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. We really need to act on it. And the good news is that now we have a plan. We actually have something that shows us how to deal with growing membership. And that plan is the action plan. The action plan is something that grew out of our strategic planning process. Now, when I say strategic planning, I can see some of you already are glazing over. That's not a sexy term. And that's why we call it the action plan. We're people of action. And so it made more sense to call that plan something that represented really what we do. So the action plan has 4 priorities that become important for every Rotary Club in the world. That's the good news. The bad news is there isn't a direction sheet or a cookbook. There's nothing that's going to come from Rotary that says, do this and this and this, and your club's going to be irresistible. No. You have to, as a club, whether you're an Interact, a Rotaract, or a Rotary Club, you have to take the action plan and use it locally. Why? Because every single club in the world has a different culture. Even if your clubs are in the same district, you can have a different culture. So it has to be an individual activity. You have to take it with your Interact or Rotaract or Rotary Club and say, how do these priorities make sense for us where we are right now? So those 4 priorities are simple, but really highly effective. They can help a club figure out, how can we go from good to great? Or how could we go from not so good to better? And they're a way to help clubs determine, are there things that we can change a little bit, or are there things that we can do a little bit differently? So the 4 priorities, the first one is increasing our impact. We have stories in Rotary that we share with prospective members, with partners, potential partners, and the stronger our impact, the more likely it is that people are going to want to join with us. So it's important that our stories show the correct impact of what we do. Now, impact is not simply a number. It's what happens after the number. For instance, I talk to many Rotary clubs who say, we do the dictionary project in our town. We give every 3rd grader in our school district a dictionary that they can keep. It's their own. And that's fabulous. That's a great literacy project. And I'll say, well, what's the impact? And many clubs will say, well, we gave 800 dictionaries last year. That's not the impact. That's the outcome. So when we talk about impact, we move from the inputs and the outputs and the outcome to what the impact is. The impact of a literacy project would be, what happens to the reading level of those 3rd graders as they advance and keep moving, because they have access to a dictionary and increased vocabulary. That's the impact. This is like pretty much going on a diet. If you decide that that's what you want to do, it's about measurement. You have to step on the scale first, and then you decide, okay, what am I going to do to lose weight or gain weight, if that's something you want to do? And once you do that, then you get back on the scale to see if it worked. So the outcome is how much weight you've lost. That's not the impact. The impact is, how is that going to impact your health? Or how will your clothes feel or fit better? So we have to continue to look at impact with a long-term lens. So helping our clubs understand assessment is what gets us to measurement. So when we start looking at an area in our community that needs some help, we have to figure out, how do we measure that first? Then we do the things that we're going to do. Then we go back and see what kind of outcome we've had. The second priority is the one that talks about improving our our reach, having an ability to expand our reach. Not everybody is going to be attracted to a traditional club. I'm in a traditional club and I love it, but we do very traditional things. We ring a bell, we take attendance, we do the pledge, we sing. Those are very traditional things. Nothing wrong with that. But we know that there are people who are going to be attracted to a different kind of Rotary experience. They may want something different. I mean, those of you who are in Interact, those of you in Rotaract, your meetings are a lot different than Rotary Club meetings. And there's a reason for that, because you like to do Rotary your way. And so we have to be mindful that there are people who want to serve. They have the heart and the hands for service. But if the Rotary Club in your town meets at noontime, think about the people that you might be missing. You can't get teachers to join a noontime club. They have students. You might not be able to get medical professionals because they have patients. There may not be retailers who join because they have customers. So that area, your area, even if you have a club at noon, would be really ripe for a 5 o'clock club, or maybe even a Saturday morning club that has breakfast. So a satellite or a cost-based club or an interest club would expand the reach of your particular club, because you'd be looking for ways to bring underrepresented or non-represented groups into your Rotary Club or Rotaract Interact. One of the questions I ask clubs to always ask is, does our club represent this community? Or does our club represent this school? Meaning, is it a representation of who's in your community or school? And if the answer is yes, you have a handle on your future. And if the answer is no, then you have a great opportunity. So the next priority is increasing the engagement of participants. Now, participants does mean members, but it also means anybody who interacts or comes into that influence of your club. It could be beneficiaries of your projects. It could be students or parents of the students who are youth exchange or students of the month. So really, it's anybody who comes into the magic of what happens in your Rotary experience, your club. So how do we get better with engagement? Why is that important? Well, an engaged Rotarian is one who's going to stay. An attractive club is one that's an active club. So engagement is about thinking how you can do things so that every single member in your club has an opportunity to participate. I always say that there's room for everybody, and we have to be mindful of what people are interested in doing. In my club, we do a project, and have for many years, of highway cleanup. The deal, we put the vests on and we go out and we clean a section of the highway so it becomes beautiful, more beautiful. Well, when I was in my 40s and 50s, that was okay. I didn't mind bending over and picking up trash and all that. But now that I'm older than that, I'm not so keen on doing that project. But when they say, do we have anybody who would like to sponsor the pizza party for after highway cleanup? I'm there. That's fine. I can do that. So we really have to be mindful of what it is that people want to do. There are two things that are important here. If you're an existing club, what that means for you is that you need to talk to your members at least once a year, maybe more. And you need to find out how you're doing. Do you like when we meet? Do you like where we meet? How about our projects? Are there things that you're interested in that we haven't done yet? Or what can you tell us about yourself that we can't see on your application? Because the more you know your members, the better able you are to pick speakers and projects, programs, socials, and from time to time, you are going to hit on something that's important to the people who are part of your club. And people come to our clubs for different reasons. We have a product, we're a business, we have a product, and our product is the club experience. And if people find value in the experience, they're going to stay. They're going to be excited and happy. And if they don't, they're going to take off. So we really have to work hard to get to know who our members are. If people are just coming into your club, that's a great opportunity to ask those questions. What would you like to do? What could you tell us about yourself that we can't see on your application? Just to get to know them, because then we have a better chance of hitting on something that those members will find valuable. And then the fourth priority that we need to pay attention to is the one that talks to us about increasing our ability to adapt. Originally, there was a concern that Rotary might be slow to embrace technology. Well, that certainly wasn't true. We had this thing called a pandemic, and none of us could do Rotary the way we wanted. And we showed the world that we were able to figure out how to stay connected. Some clubs did it like this through virtual platforms. Some simply took their device and called each other. Can I bring you something? And the number of COVID relief grants was absolutely incredible. So those four priorities really help us move into a place where we can determine if our club is operating at its best, if it is simply irresistible. So we want our clubs to remain that way or to become that way, because it does affect membership. And membership happens when three things occur at the same time. We have to attract members to our existing clubs. We have to start new clubs for those people who want a different kind of experience. And we have to retain the members that we have. All three have to happen at the same time. So that's why membership, well, that's how membership can increase. Why membership has to increase, to me, is actually really, really obvious. The more members we have, the more service we can do. So it's really not rocket science. You know, when I look in the mirror every day, I know that I don't have 25 or 30 years ahead of me to do Rotary, but I look at this screen and I know that I see lots of faces that do. And that is absolutely fabulous. That's incredible for me, because when my generation of Rotarians is no longer here, I know that there are going to be interactors, Rotaractors, young professionals who are going to be able to pick up and continue to do the magic of Rotary. The second thing I want to talk about is peace building. You know, that's at Rotary's core. We're an organization that was built on world understanding and peace. But it's important to know the difference between being a peace broker and being a peace builder. We're peace builders. Peace brokers are people who can negotiate the release of hostages, who can have an impact on, stopping war. That's not really our role. Our role is to be the folks who go in and create the conditions that are necessary for a peaceful society to exist. So we function from the humanitarian aspect. We function from a platform of prevention. We want to create conditions that are necessary. So we want to attack and address issues like poverty, like water scarcity. If people are hungry, we want to go in and feed them. If people are uneducated, we want to make sure that we provide education. So our role as peace builders is different. And so we all have an opportunity every single day. You don't have to be a professional peace builder to engage in actions that really help move us in that direction. And in Rotary, we have many programs and opportunities to be peace builders. One very simple one is our four-way test. It's a set of 4 brilliant sentences. And I say to people, do you recite it or do you live it? Because there's a big difference. And it's powerful. And I've seen Rotary clubs around the world use that with Interact, with Rotaract, and have four-way test speech contests. And that's a powerful way to have a younger generation think about the meaning of those 4 sentences and apply it to their everyday life. We also have an online peace activator program. So those of you who are Rotaractors and Rotarians, you have access to this in the Learning Center. In about 2 hours, you can go through a program that teaches you the difference between negative peace and positive peace. We developed that program with the Institute for Economics and Peace, and it is, again, a powerful way to change your thinking about the perspective of peace building. We have a program in Rotary called the Rotary Peace Poles. These are visible monuments that are placed either in a park somewhere in a community or a school campus, any place you can get permission to have it installed. And the pole itself has multiple sides, and it says, "May peace prevail on earth," in the languages that represent your communities. The new ones have QR codes, which are fabulous, because if somebody's walking by and sees this monument and they see the Rotary brand, they know that it's and it's something that Rotary is behind, but they don't know about Rotary. They can take their phone and scan the QR code and be directed back to your club. So I encourage Rotaract and Interact and Rotary clubs around the world to investigate that, because it's a low-cost, easy project to show your community that you are all about peace building. And then finally, although we have a lot of programs, the one I want to mention is our Peace Centers program, Rotary Peace Centers. We have 6 peace centers around the globe. And these are programs at major universities where Rotary has established a peace center. And students or peace fellows who are part of these programs either earn a master's degree or they get a 1-year certificate in peace and conflict resolution. But these are not programs in theory only. All of these peace centers require that students present a capstone experience, meaning they take what they've learned in the program and they design a program to take wherever they're going back after their peace education and put it in play. So they're really active peace builders. Now, I've had the opportunity to hear a couple of graduating capstone experiences, and I was amazed. I mean, I'm listening to these people and what they're going to do with their training, and I think to myself, what was I doing when I was 30 years old? Certainly not that. So these are amazing peace fellows. We've got 1,800 of them around the world in more than 140 countries. And in 2 weeks, we're opening number 7. We're going to have a peace center in the Middle East. It's going to be located at Bahçeşehir University in Turkey. And so when we open that center, we're also hosting a major peace conference. So that center will serve the North Africa and Middle East region. And I'm really excited about it. We're going to be welcoming the newest class of fellows going through. And the other good news is that when the Board of Trustees meets next week, they are actually selecting our next Peace Center location, which will be in Asia. We had a location in Bangkok several years ago, but it has closed. So the 2 finalists for our next Peace Center are a university in Pune, India, and a university in Seoul, Korea. So in a week's time or so, we will know where Peace Center number 8 is going to be located. So these are major, major ways that Rotary has an interest in promoting peace, and I encourage your clubs to think about what you can do. What are the actions that you can take locally to create conditions that can foster peace? And then the final thing I talk about generally is continuity and how important it is as clubs that we work with those who come before us and those who come after us. Continuity is what is our model, and it's what has kept Rotary strong for over 119 years. When you think about it, every July 1st, every president, every district governor, every international president steps down and someone new comes in. Now think about your school or your business. I mean, if your principal or your president or CEO changed every year, how effective would that be for your business? Probably not very much. It would be somewhat chaotic, but in Rotary, it's the strength. It's the strength of our model because it brings fresh ideas to us constantly because we have that rotation. But it is also the continuity that keeps us together. And so I remind Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Interactors how important it is to continue to do that. And the final message that I'll leave is we need to embrace public relations and public image, all of us. We have a story to tell, and we need to tell it more often. Everybody on this call knows what Rotary is, but it's the people who are not on this call who don't have a strong idea of Rotary, or if they do, they have the wrong perception. I will say sometimes that people who aren't yet with us think that we are, this is an acronym, Romeo, rich old men eating out. Well, take a look. That's not who we are. We are different. We have changed. So we need to tell that story. We need to say, hey, Rotary has evolved. We're different. We brought in women. We have new meeting models, and we need to tell that story. And we know who the people are. They're our friends, our relatives, our associates, our neighbors. So we need to share how much fun and how much psychic income we get from doing the work of Rotary. We need to share that because that's how we get the message out to the world, and that's how we will change the perception that some people have. So if there's a person that you know who has the heart and the hands for service, I'm pretty sure that there's a way that you can tell them about Rotary, and there's a way that they can find a fit. So with that, I'm going to stop, and I'll ask the governor or anyone who is able to help with questions that might have popped up in the chat.
Yes. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm wondering, over the course of the time that I've known you, you've told a couple stories, and I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing one or two of those stories with us. You told a story when you came to Far West Pets last March about your experience picking up a youth exchange student at the airport.
Yeah, that was my first exposure to service. I was a brand new Rotarian. So I'm in my club meeting, and our club president was talking about the youth exchange program, which my first club, we were very active with that. So he's talking about needing host families. Well, I can't do that because I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. And he's talking about this and that. But then he said, we need somebody to go to the Pittsburgh International Airport to pick up our student. So I raised my hand. I said, I can do that. So that was my first assignment in Rotary. So I went to the airport. Now, mind you, at that time, I was working at California University of Pennsylvania. All right. So I'm in Western Pennsylvania. There's no water, no ocean, no sea, no lake. We are landlocked. And so I worked at the university, and that happens to be where all of our youth exchange students would be studying. So my job was to go to the airport and pick up this young man from Thailand. So I met him, and we got his luggage, and he said, Miss Stephanie, I have to go to oversized luggage. And I'm thinking, okay. So we go to oversized luggage, and down the chute comes a surfboard. And I looked at him and I said, what are you going to do with that? And he said, I'm going to California University. So my first service was giving this young man a lesson in geography. And, he learned a lot during the year, but that was the first lesson that he learned about the fact that Western Pennsylvania doesn't have an ocean.
Okay. Irina, you have a question for Stephanie. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, so I'm actually a huge fan of bureaucracy, unusually. You talk a lot about continuity, and Rotary has all of this effort and bureaucracy that goes into supporting that continuity. What's the most underappreciated part of that bureaucracy, in your opinion?
Well, I think the roles of leadership are underappreciated, because I don't know about where you are, but where I am in my district, it is like pulling teeth to get people to step up to be president or to step up to be district governor. And part of the reason is it's our fault, because we talk about, how hard it was to be district governor. You know what? It's the most amazing year of your life. Okay, it's our fault. We should be saying how fabulous that year was. But instead, the messaging that we put out there is, it's time consuming and you get a lot of mail from RI and this and that. And it's no wonder people won't step up for leadership. And the same thing with being a president. That's why some clubs have retreads. We have 1.2 million members in this organization. There is no reason why we shouldn't be able to spread leadership opportunities around to everybody. So from my perspective, it would be the fact that we undersell our leadership roles.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Dan, aren't you having the most fabulous year of your life?
Oh, it is incredible. I would encourage every Rotarian on this call to become a governor. It's an incredible experience. Claire, would you agree with that? You're an immediate test.
It definitely. I think that being governor last year was an amazing opportunity. That was a once in a life, and getting to go around to all the clubs and see all the great work that all the Rotarians in 5160 and beyond are doing is just amazing.
So, Stephanie, seeing how you're such a good storyteller, can I ask you to share one more story?
Of course.
Which is your story about the magic of Rotary.
Okay. All right. So I know some of you have read about where this story came from, and maybe you've heard me, but since the governor is asking, I will tell you the story. Many years ago, I went to the Dominican Republic with my district and a district from Michigan. And we were there because we were on a water project. We had received matching grants to purchase bio-sand water filters. And we were going to homes in the Dominican Republic to provide these water filters. So my job was to go into a home and to assemble the water filter, and then to show the family how to use it, how to clean it, use the chlorine. And then one of the things that I would always do at the end is take dirty water and put it in the filter and watch it would come out clean on the other side. So I was in a home with 5 members. There was a grandmother and a mother and 3 little boys. And so I put the filter together. I showed them how it worked, and I put the chlorine drops in and showed them how to clean it. And then I did the test. I took the dirty water and put it in, and it came out clean. And then I put the dirty water in again, and it came out clean. And when I stopped doing that, one of the little boys ran up and he tugged on my blouse and he said, lady, show me that magic again. And it dawned on me that the magic was not the water filter. The magic was what was going to happen to that family now that they had access to clean water. Those little boys had not been going to school on a regular basis because they had to walk for water. Now they could go 5 days a week. They could get the education that could ensure that they could move on in life. The mother in the family was not able to secure employment prior to having water because she too had to walk. Now she could find a job, bring in some money, and help support the family economically. And every single one of us, as Rotarians, as Rotaractors, as Interactors, anytime we work on a project that does something for a group of people or for a person, we are creating magic. And so that's why the theme, the magic of Rotary, has been so well accepted around the world, because that's what we do in Rotary. We create lasting change for people, and that's part of our magic.
So, Stephanie,
Yes.
can you tell all the members on this call of District 5160 why should they attend Calgary, the convention in Calgary?
Absolutely, because that is your best opportunity to see the internationality of Rotary. Look at your Rotary pin. It says Rotary International. It doesn't say Rotary Club of XYZ. It says Rotary International. The convention is an amazing place where you will meet your family of Rotary from around the world. We have more than 15,000 people who are currently registered and paid to attend. And we have another large group of people who are registered and haven't paid yet. Ultimately, we could have 30,000 people. So this is going to be a really great family reunion. And if you've never been to a convention before, I highly recommend the House of Friendship. The House of Friendship is a big area where there are vendors and there are Rotary entities, clubs, districts, zones, organizations who talk about the project. It is just a fabulous way to see how Rotary is international and what makes it so. So if you haven't thought about coming to Calgary, please do. It'd be amazing, amazing experience. And if you have been to conventions before, this one is going to be really, really super, because it's going to be the biggest attendance, the biggest family reunion since COVID. So I can't wait to see you all there.
All right. Stephanie, a couple more questions. I know it's getting late in your time zone, but Kimberly Trujillo. Kimberly, which Rotary Club are you with again? Can you let Stephanie know?
Weaverville.
Weaverville. Kimberly
Hello,
asked.
yes, I'm Rotary Club of Weaverville up in Northern California,
Okay.
west of Redmond.
So
Okay.
Kimberly asks, is it true that RI is not going to have annual themes anymore? And if so, why is that?
No, that's not true. Okay, so let me tell you why. So up until this year, it's been called an annual theme, and it was the responsibility of every incoming president. Every president nominee would get the same phone call after being nominated. Pick your convention chair, pick your International Assembly chair, and start thinking about your theme. And so that's what happened. You know, I had some ideas. So the first thing you do is meet with communications, because I want to make sure that your idea will translate in the Rotary languages around the world. Okay. Then you meet with legal, and that's to make sure that there are no copyrights or nobody's, used trademarks, nobody's using your information, that, no copyright, no legal issues. Then you meet with strategic planning to make sure that your theme falls from the action plan. So all of that takes time. So when Mario DiCamargo was elected, they changed the process. So now he got an opportunity to do all of that up front. So he met with everybody together as a committee, and they developed presidential messaging. So he has a message, and they do it in a 3-year block. And Sanku has a message, and whoever follows Sanku will have a message. So when Mario is at IA in a few days, he's going to stand up and he's going to deliver the message for Rotary Year 25-26. And he's going to have a tie. And there's going to be a scarf. And there will be colors. What he won't have is a graphic, because we're going to start using the master brand. The master brand is the wheel and the word Rotary. We want people to recognize that that means Rotary. You know, when you see the golden arches, you know what that is. When you see that check mark, you know that's Nike. We want people to see Rotary and know, oh, that's that fantastic membership organization that does service. So that's the only thing that won't be part of moving forward. If you have theme pins, if you have the magic of Rotary pin, hold on to it. It's going to be a collector's item someday.
Very good. So Stephanie, what's next? What's in store for you come July 1? What do you plan to do? After your year as Rotary International president is done.
Well, I've been elected to the Board of Trustees. So I've been a trustee before, but this will be a 4-year term. And so I'll have responsibilities again on the foundation side. It's not the same pace as the president, but I'm looking forward to that. So my next 4 years are going to be focused on the Rotary Foundation.
Okay, and talking about the Rotary Foundation, I know we set a goal, the 2.025 in 2025.
Yes.
How are we looking on that? Do you think we're going to make it? How close are we? What do we
Absolutely.
need to do?
Absolutely. Okay. As of the end of December, there was $120 million. Now that sounds like a big number left, but when you think about 2.025 billion by 2025, we've really made a lot of progress. And of course, the endowment, this is for the endowment. So that means a lot of it is estate planning, and it's people who are thinking about leaving a legacy. So yes, we are going to get there. And in Calgary, Trustee Chair Mark Maloney is going to be able to make that announcement.
And my last question is,
yes.
Programs of scale. Can you tell my district members a little bit about the programs of scale for those who aren't familiar with that?
Yes. You know, when I was talking about the action plan, I talked about impact. And so when I joined Rotary, we had something called matching grants. And they, for as little as $1,000, you could get a grant and you could go somewhere and put in a well or do, you know, something like that. But the problem was that maybe 10 years later, somebody would go to that village and the well would be inoperable, it'd be dry, and there's a sign saying this was put here by the Rotary Foundation, and it's rusted and falling off. So we really had to rethink what we were doing with our grant activity. So that's why Future Vision came along, and now we have something called global grants. Global grants are bigger projects, you know, $30,000 and above. And sustainability is built into the grant process. What does that mean? That means that the grant will continue to go on, or the program will continue to go on once Rotary is no longer there. So many of the matching grant applications have built in education and other kinds of things to make sure that once Rotary is gone, once the Rotary Club or the Rotary District is no longer there, that particular project will continue. So then we started thinking about impact. And we were seeing that there were matching or global grant projects that were started in areas and they were bubbling up. They might have started in a district, but then an entire zone was taking it. And that's how Programs of Scale was born. These are bigger operations that have multiple partners. And they start locally, and as the name suggests, they scale up. So we've had 4 programs of scale. The first one was to eliminate malaria in an entire country in Africa. That is impact. If that is a story we can tell that, with Rotary and the partners, this program of scale has helped to reduce malaria in Zambia. That's massive. Then the second program of scale was a program that was started in Nigeria for healthy deliveries of babies and healthy mothers. And again, a massive program that if we continue to operate it with our partners, that's impact. The third program of scale was in Egypt, in Northern Africa, where they took on a program of helping to eliminate cervical cancer. I actually had an opportunity to visit that center 2 weeks ago when I was in Egypt. And they had such impressive numbers about the number of women and girls that have received the vaccine against cervical cancer and different things that they've done. But the number that stuck in my head of all the things they shared with me was the number 28. 28 was the number of women who went to that hospital, that area in Egypt, who had cervical cancer after they were tested. They had the cancer. They received treatment, and today they are alive because of what Rotary is doing. That's the number that stuck with me.
Wow.
So that's what our programs of scale are meant to do. They usually start locally, and they're the projects that have the potential to scale up to a bigger thing. Our best example of impact in a program of scale is polio eradication. When you think about it, ever since we started, we've been able to say when polio is eradicated, there will be 11 million children every year that don't get this crippling disease. We've been able to talk about the number of US dollars that will be saved because we won't have ancillary healthcare costs for post-polio and other issues. So programs of scale is a very, very powerful way for Rotary to continue to tell the story about the impact that we have.
Stephanie, I know it's getting late, but you touched on polio, and I'm just wondering, 2024 was a rough year in our efforts, and I'm wondering, what are we doing to maybe redouble our efforts in 2025 and try to prevent a reoccurrence of what we saw in 2024?
Yeah. We had issues and challenges that bubbled up in 2024 that we are addressing. One of them has to do with what's happening in the two areas that continue to be problematic, and that's the region between Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's not even the whole countries, it's that mountain region between them. And so one of the things that's happened is that Afghanis have been repatriated to their country. So there's movement between Pakistan and Afghanistan of refugees who are going back. What that means is children are on the move. So when kids are moving, we don't have any way of knowing where they are to get to them. The second issue that bubbled up was with the Taliban, who put certain orders in place that we could no longer do house-to-house immunization. We had frontline workers, mostly women, who were going house to house to immunize the children. Well, they stopped that temporarily, I understand, and they made it mosque to mosque. Well, the problem with that is that the men went to the mosque, not the women. So we were relying on men to get the children to the mosque, which wasn't really happening. So we had issues that we've figured out how to overcome. Our strategies have changed. Now I'll tell you the good news. There's wild polio virus, and there is a type of polio that's derived from the vaccine itself, the variant polio. The number of cases of the variant polio has come down dramatically because of the science and the research. So that's where we've made progress. So we hope now with new strategies and new work with government officials and people who are in that area that we're going to be able to get back on track. And if you've looked at the numbers for 2025, they're reasonable in terms of comparing them to last year. I think the last time I looked, we had one wild polio case. So we're back on track, and we will get this done.
Very good. So, Stephanie, I want to thank you for
You're
taking the
welcome.
time to, talk to our district and, our members. We're really looking forward to hearing from you. And I know it's a lot later in your area than
Just
it is
an
in our
hour. Well, it's going on 10:30 here, I think. Yeah, it's
Okay.
10:30.
Oh, you're 3 hours ahead of us. Okay, I
Yeah,
was thinking
yeah.
you're 2 hours ahead of us. Okay, very good. Joy Latarus is our DGE. She was going to close things out. Joy, why don't I hand it over to you?
Stephanie, I don't know if you remember when we were in San Diego at the Zone Institute, you and I were going down a hallway, and you asked me if I had chosen a theme for my year. And I said, oh, yes, I have. It's going to be the magic of Rotary. And you had this very strange look on your face. I said, don't you like it? Oh, yes, you did. You said, I like it a lot. Said, but you look so, you have a very odd look. And you said, well, you'll figure it out later. The magic, Rotary magic is the perfect theme for you. Your presentations are magical. You are everywhere as if you are flying on a carpet. My golly, there just has to be magic to get you in all the places you go. We appreciate so much you, what you've done, the positive message that you've given us in the time today. Thank you very, very much.
Well, you're very welcome. And you should all remember, we're in this together. We're all doing Rotary. We're just doing it at different levels.
Very good. All right. So again, on behalf of District 5160, thank you so much, Stephanie. It was an incredible night to be able to hear from you from, that level. So thank you for giving us the words that you've given us and the inspiration. So everyone, go off mute and give Stephanie a round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys.
Thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Good night, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Mayor.